Jack Lucas, 17 years old, private first class. 2 Japanese grenades landed in his trench, 3 Marines beside him. Lucas had 2 seconds to decide. He threw himself on both grenades. February 20, 1945, Iwo Jima. The island sits 840 kilometers south of Tokyo, roughly 8 square kilometers of volcanic ash and rock. Mount Suribachi dominates the southern end, elevation 169 meters. The rest of the island is relatively flat terrain broken by ravines and rocky outcroppings. The 5th Marine Division had landed on the western beaches 5 days earlier. D-Day was February 19th. Lucas came ashore with the first wave as part of 1st Battalion, 26th Marines, 5th Marine Division. The Japanese defending Iwo Jima numbered approximately 21,000 soldiers under Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi. They had fortified the island with 11 miles of underground tunnels, concrete pillboxes, artillery positions, and interconnected defensive networks. The defensive strategy emphasized attrition, maximum American casualties, prolonged resistance. By February 20th, the Marines had advanced roughly 1,000 meters inland from the invasion beaches. Progress was measured in meters per hour. Japanese defensive positions covered every approach. Casualties were severe. Lucas was assigned to C Company. The company had landed at full strength 5 days earlier, 190 Marines. By February 20th, the company had sustained 40% casualties. Every squad was under strength. Every fire team had lost men. His fire team was conducting operations near the base of Mount Suribachi. The terrain consisted of volcanic sand, scattered rock formations, and shell craters from naval bombardment. Vegetation was minimal. Cover was limited to natural depressions and craters. At approximately 1100 hours, the fire team moved forward to clear Japanese positions dug into a ravine. The ravine ran roughly north to south, 12 meters wide, 4 meters deep. Japanese soldiers occupied fighting positions on both sides. Lucas advanced with 3 other Marines. The team moved in dispersed formation, maintaining 5-meter intervals, standard infantry tactics for assault under fire. They carried M1 Garand rifles and fragmentation grenades. The Japanese position opened fire at 20 meters range, rifle fire from multiple positions. The Marines went to ground immediately, seeking whatever cover the terrain offered. Lucas dropped into a shallow trench approximately 1 meter deep, carved by erosion into the volcanic ash. 3 other Marines dropped into the same trench. Private First Class Lionel Hernandez, age 19, from Texas. Private First Class John McPherson, age 20, from Michigan. Corporal Robert Dunlap, age 21, squad leader, from Illinois. The trench offered minimal protection. Japanese fire came from elevated positions on both sides of the ravine. The Marines were exposed to enfilade fire. Rounds struck the ground around the trench. Volcanic ash kicked up with each impact. Lucas raised his rifle and engaged targets to the north. He fired 4 rounds at a Japanese fighting position 15 meters away. The Garand's semi-automatic action allowed rapid follow-up shots. Effective range at that distance was near certain hits for trained marksmen. The other Marines engaged targets to the east and west. Dunlap, as squad leader, attempted to coordinate fire and movement. The tactical problem was clear. They were pinned in an exposed position with Japanese fire from 3 directions. Withdrawal would expose them to additional fire. Advance was impossible. Japanese soldiers began throwing grenades. The first grenade landed 8 meters short of the trench. It detonated in open ground. Fragments scattered across 20 meters but caused no casualties. The second grenade landed 6 meters short. Same result. The third grenade throw was more accurate. The fragmentation grenade arced through the air and landed directly in the trench. It hit the volcanic ash 1 meter from Lucas's position. Standard Japanese Type 97 fragmentation grenade. Fuse delay 4 to 5 seconds, lethal radius 10 meters. The grenade would kill or wound everyone in the trench. Lucas saw the grenade land. He saw the fuse burning. He calculated distance and time. 4 men in the trench, 1 grenade, 4 to 5 seconds until detonation. He moved immediately. He lunged toward the grenade, covering the 1 meter distance in less than 1 second. He positioned his body directly over the grenade, chest down, arms tucked. His body weight pressed the grenade into the volcanic ash. 1 second later, a second grenade landed in the trench. It struck the ground 1 meter to the right of Lucas's position. 2 grenades, 4 Marines, 3 seconds remaining on the first fuse, 4 to 5 seconds on the second fuse. Lucas extended his right arm. He pulled the second grenade underneath his body. Now both grenades were under him. His chest covered one grenade. His abdomen covered the second grenade. The other 3 Marines were behind him, shielded by his body. The first grenade detonated. Time approximately 11:02 hours. The explosion occurred directly beneath Lucas's chest. The blast force followed the path of least resistance, upward through his body. Fragmentation penetrated his chest, right arm, right leg. The second grenade detonated 1/2 second later. This explosion occurred beneath his abdomen. Additional fragmentation wounds to the torso and legs. The combined blast force threw Lucas's body upward approximately 1 meter. He landed face down in the volcanic ash. Hernandez, McPherson and Dunlap were shielded from the blast by Lucas's body. Hernandez sustained minor shrapnel wounds to the left arm. McPherson and Dunlap were uninjured. All 3 survived because Lucas's body absorbed the grenades. Explosive force and fragmentation. Lucas remained conscious for approximately 30 seconds after the blasts. He attempted to move but could not. Blood loss was severe. Wounds to chest, abdomen, right arm and both legs. More than 200 individual shrapnel fragments documented in later medical examination. Dunlap moved immediately to Lucas's position. He rolled Lucas onto his back to assess wounds. The damage was catastrophic. Penetrating chest wounds, abdominal wounds, massive blood loss. Dunlap applied pressure to the chest wounds while calling for corpsmen. Navy Hospital Corpsman, 2nd Class William Walsh reached the trench within 90 seconds. Walsh had been treating casualties 20 meters away when the grenades detonated. He moved under fire to reach Lucas. Walsh assessed the wounds and determined Lucas had minutes to live without immediate intervention. He applied battle dressings to the chest wounds to slow bleeding. He administered morphine for pain. He called for stretcher bearers and immediate evacuation. 4 Marines reached the trench with a stretcher. They loaded Lucas under continuing Japanese fire. The carry to the battalion aid station covered 300 meters across exposed ground. The team moved as quickly as terrain allowed while maintaining stability for the casualty. Lucas reached the battalion aid station at 11:17 hours, 15 minutes after the grenade blasts. The battalion surgeon, Lieutenant Commander James Patterson, examined him immediately. Patterson documented more than 250 separate shrapnel wounds, penetrating chest trauma, suspected abdominal perforations, massive hemorrhage. Patterson performed emergency surgery in the aid station. He worked for 40 minutes to stabilize Lucas for evacuation. The primary concern was chest wounds that had penetrated the right lung. Patterson placed chest tubes to re-expand the collapsed lung. He sutured major bleeding vessels. He administered 2 units of whole blood. Lucas was evacuated to the beach at 12:30 hours. An amphibious vehicle transported him to LST 476, a tank landing ship serving as a casualty collection point. He reached the ship at 13:15 hours. Navy surgeons aboard LST 476 performed additional surgery. They operated for 3 hours. They removed accessible shrapnel fragments. They repaired damaged tissue. They determined that dozens of fragments were too deep or too close to vital organs to remove safely. Those fragments would remain in Lucas's body permanently. By 1800 hours, Lucas was stable enough for transport to a hospital ship. He was transferred to USS Samaritan, anchored 12 kilometers offshore. Samaritan had full surgical facilities and specialized medical staff. Surgeons on Samaritan operated again on February 21st. They spent 5 hours removing additional shrapnel and repairing tissue damage. Lucas survived the surgery. Medical personnel estimated his survival chance at less than 20% based on wound severity and blood loss. Lucas remained on Samaritan for 8 days. He underwent 2 additional surgeries. He survived each operation. On February 28, he was evacuated to a naval hospital in Guam. He spent 6 weeks there undergoing rehabilitation and additional medical procedures. On April 10, 1945, Lucas was transferred to Oak Knoll Naval Hospital in California. He spent 9 months in hospital care. Doctors removed more than 200 shrapnel fragments during multiple surgeries. Approximately 75 fragments remained too deep or dangerous to extract. The Battle of Iwo Jima ended on March 26, 1945. American casualties totaled 26,000, including 6,821 killed. Japanese casualties exceeded 21,000, with only 1,083 taken prisoner. The battle lasted 36 days. Lucas's company sustained 68% casualties during the campaign. Of the 3 Marines in the trench with Lucas on February 20th, all 3 survived the war. Hernandez, McPherson and Dunlap all testified that Lucas's actions saved their lives. Dunlap submitted the Medal of Honor recommendation on March 2, 1945. He wrote the initial account of the action while still on Iwo Jima. The recommendation was supported by sworn statements from Hernandez and McPherson. Walsh, the corpsman, provided medical documentation of Lucas's wounds. The recommendation moved through channels rapidly. Battalion commander approved March 5th. Regimental commander approved March 8th. Division commander approved March 12th. The 5th Marine Division had sustained the highest casualties of any division at Iwo Jima. Division leadership understood the importance of recognizing extraordinary valor. The Marine Corps Commandant General Alexander Vandergrift reviewed the recommendation in April 1945. He approved it unanimously. The Secretary of the Navy approved in May. President Harry Truman approved the award on September 14, 1945. October 5, 1945. The White House. President Truman presented the Medal of Honor to Private First Class Jack Lucas. Lucas was 17 years old. He was the youngest Marine and the youngest service member to receive the Medal of Honor in World War II. The citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity, at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty, while serving with the 1st Battalion, 26th Marines, 5th Marine Division, during action against enemy Japanese forces on Iwo Jima, Volcano Islands, 20 February 1945. While creeping through a treacherous twisting ravine which ran in close proximity to a fluid and uncertain front line on D+1 day, Private First Class Lucas and 3 other men were suddenly ambushed by a hostile patrol which savagely attacked with rifle fire and grenades. Quick to act when the lives of the small group were endangered by 2 grenades which landed directly in front of them, Private First Class Lucas unhesitatingly hurled himself over his comrades upon one grenade and pulled the other under him, absorbing the whole blasting forces of the explosions in his own body in order to shield his companions from the concussion and murderous flying fragments. By his inspiring action and valiant spirit of self-sacrifice, he not only protected his comrades from certain injury or possible death, but also enabled them to rout the Japanese patrol and continue the advance. His exceptionally courageous initiative and loyalty reflect the highest credit upon Private First Class Lucas and the United States Naval Service. Lucas was born February 14, 1928, in Plymouth, North Carolina. His family moved to Norfolk, Virginia when he was 10. He attended public schools there. At age 14, in August 1942, he forged his mother's signature on enlistment papers, claiming to be 17. The recruiting station accepted the papers without verification. He completed basic training at Parris Island, South Carolina. He was assigned to the Marine barracks in Norfolk as a guard. The duty frustrated him. He wanted combat assignment. In January 1945, he stowed away on board USS Duel, a transport ship bound for Hawaii with Marine replacements. He was discovered during the voyage. The ship's commanding officer placed him under guard. However, when Duel reached Hawaii and began loading Marines for Iwo Jima, Lucas convinced officers to assign him to a replacement draft for 5th Marine Division. He was 17 years old. He had been in the Marine Corps for 29 months. He had never seen combat before Iwo Jima. After receiving the Medal of Honor, Lucas remained in the Marine Corps. He was promoted to sergeant. He served at various duty stations but never returned to combat. He was honourably discharged in September 1945 at his own request. He used GI Bill benefits to attend college. He graduated from High Point University in North Carolina with a business degree. He worked in business and sales for several decades. Lucas wrote an autobiography titled Indestructible, published in 2006. The book detailed his combat experience, his recovery, and his life after the war. He gave numerous speeches at military events and schools. Lucas died June 5, 2008, at age 80 in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He died from leukemia. He is buried at the Biloxi National Cemetery in Mississippi. His funeral included full military honours, Honour Guard from the Marine Corps, 21-gun salute, taps. His Medal of Honor is displayed at the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Triangle, Virginia. The museum exhibit includes his citation, photographs from Iwo Jima, and medical records, documenting his wounds. Visitors can see X-rays showing shrapnel fragments that remained in his body for 63 years. 3 men witnessed Lucas throw himself on the grenades in that trench on Iwo Jima. Hernandez died in 1993, McPherson died in 2001, Dunlap died in 2004. All 3 attended Lucas's Medal of Honor ceremony in 1945. All 3 remained in contact with Lucas for the rest of their lives. Medical records documented 247 separate shrapnel wounds from the 2 grenades. Surgeons removed 172 fragments during multiple operations. 75 fragments remained in Lucas's body until his death 63 years later. He carried those fragments as permanent evidence of what happened in 3 seconds in a trench on Iwo Jima. The mathematics was simple. 2 grenades, 4 Marines. Lucas pulled both grenades under his body. 3 Marines survived. That is what the Medal of Honor measures. Subscribe to the channel. There are more than 3,500 Medal of Honor recipients. Everyone has a story like this. This is just one.